Hey guys, Natasha Westcoat here. We're just starting in a few moments. I had a bit of a technical difficulty with what I was hoping was going to be a change from the Google Hangout system I've been using for so many years. We were going to do this presentation on Blab through my website, but unfortunately I could not get my software that I use to present through Blab to work. I think an update issue was the case, and unfortunately that's just life. So I can't do everything perfectly. This is why I paint. So, but needless to say, we're going to get started on the presentation in a couple moments. I'm going to let some more people get themselves prepared and ready to come in. If you are going to watch from Google, you can ask me questions right there. I've opened up the floor for that. And I'm going to try my hardest to follow any question that you guys might have for me within the Facebook group Dream Crafters. And if you have anything else to ask me later on, you do that through Twitter. My name is Natasha on Twitter. So yeah, there's no perfect way to go about this. I used to have a chat box on the training pages here. Technology sucks. It is always behind. I don't know why it is such a big deal to stream. I'm thinking in the future, because I've been streaming my art through Twitch, that we will do our trainings in the future there, and we'll have our own little, corner of my page for that kind of thing. And then we'll have no problem going through this. I don't need to do this through the website of mine, Natasha Westcoat. It's just a hassle setting that all up. So from now on in the future, just FYI, we're going to be doing this a little differently than what I've been doing in the past, because there's just too many hoops to jump through, okay, to get these trainings going. And that's just not fair to you guys, and it's not fair to me. I don't have time for that crap. I don't have time to deal with technology, and I want to be able to be more accessible and give this stuff to you. So we're going to get started. I'm going to switch to the presentation. You can take notes. And if you have any questions, let me know. I will actually, let's see if I can post the link to the Google page of this so you guys can go over there, log in, and ask your questions, which we'll have at the end of this presentation. So I'm going to see what I can do here so I can post it up. Let me see. Google Hangout has all these nice little tools that I can add some stuff. So I'm going to see if I can actually post the link right here. No. Well, that's a pain. That's a pain. Okay. Well, let's just get started. If you guys want to go through the pain of going through Google, you can find me on Google+. The list is the event page for this presentation is public, so it'll be in my Google+ feed. I can't tell you what the link to Google+ is because I never use it other than to do this stuff. So with that said, we are going to begin with our presentation. So we are going to talk today about success in art shows. Well, let me just check to make sure. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Let's make sure that you guys can actually hear me right now. I'm realizing that I'm having a lot of technical difficulties with Google+. I'm wondering if you guys heard me that whole time. Let's find out. Oh my God, this is ridiculous. Difficulties with. Let's see. Yeah, you did. Okay, good. Just so. Okay, so today we're going to talk about success in art shows, how to get in art shows, what you can do, the different kinds of art shows. If you don't already know who I am, my name is Natasha Westcoat. I've been a full-time fine artist, illustrator, and freelance designer since 2004. So I've been in the industry mainly online, almost completely online, for over 12 years. And I've been doing this very, it's my full-time job. So So I've been making a living from this. I've been paying my bills with this. I've been doing exciting projects with this. I've been able to cross the country and do really cool projects with really cool brands and do a lot with my art in ways that I never imagined I will get to do. And it's been really exciting and very fulfilling, though of course it has been stressful, but I have learned a lot in my journey through this process and through this industry. I'm totally self-made. I didn't have to go to art school. I didn't get the work that I do because I went to art school. I did everything on my own. And let's see, Cindy's saying, I couldn't find where to post a comment. Okay, good. I see that you're on here. Awesome. Hi, Jamie. Awesome. I'm glad you guys can hear me. Great. So like I said, I've been in what I do for a very long time, and I see the future is really bright. There's so many new opportunities for artists and creatives of all kinds because of the web. There is that great divide we used to have between ourselves and the art world, and that is now almost gone. It's amazing the things that you can do because of the internet, because of social media. The entry into our career of choice is so much bigger and more open than it's ever been in the history of mankind. So I want to talk today about art shows because it's something I get asked a lot in my Facebook group, through emails. I get a lot of messages from people over the years. How do I get into art shows? How did you do what you did? And so I wanted to approach this topic first in the series of trainings that I do to share my story as well as many other things. So this is what we're going to discuss in this training. We're going to talk about the benefits of art shows and exhibits, why you should pursue them, why they will help you in your art career, whether you are a fine artist, a cartoonist, an animator, whatever. We're going to talk about how to get into art shows. We're going to talk about the pros and cons so that you can decide whether you really can benefit from them now or in the future. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about some of my huge mistakes. The big one that I made when I really started trying to get into these different events. We're going to talk about the difference between brick and mortar versus online and why each are good and bad for their various reasons. And I'm going to talk to you specifically about how to approach these galleries, how to approach these curators, and find ways where you can connect with people in the industry and open up those opportunities for yourself to get in art shows. We're not going to just wait for those invitations. That's not how life works. You take it by the horns and you go with it. So let's begin. So let's talk about my story first. I want to explain how I started and the big mistake that I made. So, of course, I started in 2004 through eBay auctions where I sold huge original abstract art, fantasy art, illustrations, everything that I fancied to create. And it was a very good time. Those first 2 years, I went from making $1,000 a month to being a power selling artist, a power selling eBay seller. And what that means is power sellers on eBay are people who are making a very good amount of consistent income for a 3-month span. And in order to continue keeping that power seller status, they are making the same money or more every month. So I was silver level. I went from $1,000 to $5,000 a month selling my original art at auction on eBay. And from there were a lot of really great opportunities. I was getting interviews. I was getting book features. I was getting great licensing deals and commission work. It was growing steadily until I was making a very good 6-figure income. So I had the money to blow, and I really wanted to start delving into the traditional market because, when I began, I came from a very small town with nothing to invest in and nowhere to go. So everything was online for me. Now I had the opportunity, I had the money, I had the ability. I was a grown adult, I could drive, right? So, I was only probably, my early 20s. By 2006, 2004, I was like 21, 22. So let so you get the idea. I was just learning how to be an adult, really, and I had this really great success, but I wanted to make sure that, my career would be sustainable. I couldn't actually picture myself in the next 5 years. It was a scary thought. I started in 2004 and things were going really well, but I thought to myself, my God, I'm going to run out of ideas. I can't imagine myself painting new things every day for the rest of my life. How the heck does that work? I just couldn't even imagine 10 years down the road. And here I am past that. I'm almost at 20 years. It's crazy. So I'm thinking I've got to get into these art shows. I've got to go the traditional route and expand, which is a great mindset, perfect mindset. That's the best mindset. So, I was naive. I was young, of course. I was experimenting nonstop and trying to find ways to go about expanding my brain and my art. But obviously, because I'm learning, I don't know a whole lot. So I'm doing all the research on my own. I don't have a lot of resources online at that time. There's not a lot of openness with artists who were already doing it. I had a lot of tough times trying to contact people for advice or trying to find blogs or things like that of that nature. Video blogs didn't even start till about 2005, and I was one of the first people, so there weren't a lot of resources. I was making a lot of guesswork, going to bookstores and libraries, hoping I'm going to find that information. So I got this idea. I'm going to sign up for an art show somewhere, an expo. I've heard of this art expo through some other artist. I am going to do it this year. So I planned for the fall. That was the next one that was going to happen. I was preparing for it the year before, and I had the money to do it. Now, let me get a drink here real quick. What's really scary about these expos is, like any conference or Comic-Con, anything where they have this ginormous, if that's a word, this ginormous building full of thousands of people that are exhibiting, it's going to cost you a pretty penny. So if I remember correctly, the booth itself was going to cost me a couple $1,000s to throw money at. That didn't include the flights, the shipping of the art, the cost of my supplies to make the art, the setup, the marketing. Oh my God. So I probably, I spent thousands and thousands of dollars to go to this art expo, which would be, let's see, technically my first professional show. I had done a solo show in Bay City, Michigan, a year or two before. I did a small group show in Grand Rapids that I never even attended. So this was a big deal. This was very serious. I was going to halfway across the country to the West to do something in a massive way. And I thought, this is going to be a piece of cake. I'm going to make so much money. My investment is going to return so much cash. So it was a 3-day event. And you had to be there from, let's see, I'm going to put my face on here. You had to be on there from about, I think like 6 or 7 a.m. at your booth. Everything has to be done a certain way. You have to follow all these crazy rules. And you're going to be there till about 5 to 6 p.m., I believe. And I went there with my then boyfriend, and everything was set up the night before. It was crazy hectic, crazy stressful. And I thought I was going to have all this time to really network with people and get to know the artists nearby and do all that stuff. But no, I was in my booth the whole time until like the very last day. And needless to say, it was really disheartening. It was a huge hit to my confidence because was wrong with my work, but that's not the case. So these expos are typically very it's usually best for like major corporations or big companies that are licensing art or showing their art or whatever. I was across the booth from the Thomas Kincaid people, and he has, huge sales teams, and it's disgusting. Like, they even came to try to help me at my booth. So needless to say, I made 0 sales. I left the event tired, drained, sad, and out of thousands of dollars. And that was a huge, expensive learning experience for me, because I realized that was probably not exactly the first way to go about exhibiting my art. I should have never invested in something so massive at such a huge cost for just starting out into the traditional market. So, can you guys see everything okay still? Let's make sure that you guys can see. Make sure this is not too large for the screen so you can read it. So here's the different types of shows and who could really benefit from each of them, okay? So we've got comic cons. Now, comic cons are typically events, a conference in which fans of very nerdy content attend. So you've got comic book artists coming there. You've got people who are coming to see the stars from their favorite nerdy TV shows, movies from Marvel, DC. You've got people that are there looking at obscure stuff, anime. So a lot of artists who are in the kind of let's see, it's hard to explain, but artists who are doing stuff within those genres are the best fit for comic cons, and they can tend to be pretty lucrative, relatively affordable, and acceptable ways of exhibiting your art. It's a great way to connect with people on a local, national level. Now, art fairs are great for everyone, but typically you'll see a lot of local and national art fairs where it is mainly very fine art focused. So people who do abstract, landscape, realism, sculpture do fantastic in art fairs. You're not typically going to see a lot of people who do pop surrealism, goth art, comic art, and that kind of thing doing art shows unless it's got a theme that's pretty relative to that. Of course, I'm not discouraging anyone from not doing art fairs. They can be a really great experience and a really great opportunity to connect with your community. Nonprofit galleries. These are galleries that are distinctly set up within your local area to help benefit the art community within that town or that city. So they really aren't trying to profit from anything. They're just built to improve the culture of the local community, and it's really important to them. It's like a charitable thing to educate people in the arts and to give opportunities for children to learn art. So you'll see a lot of workshops being done at those. Local artists typically show at those only, but you can have an opportunity sometimes to work in those, and sometimes even like the community colleges and universities typically have a gallery that's somewhat similar in that way. And people that are not students will exhibit their work there as well. Excuse me. I'm going to drink real quick. Now, also, there are genre-based galleries. We just talked about comic cons and how very specific their genres are. So there are galleries that usually all galleries have a type, a style of work that they are going to exhibit. So they're not going to, for example, a pop surrealism gallery is not going to exhibit landscape art unless it's pop surrealism, unless it's weird. They're not going to exhibit realist art. Everyone has a very pretty typical specific genre that they are exhibiting. So this will help you in your search for the right gallery is really focus on researching the ones that are aligned with the kind of work that you do. If you do florals, botanical art, you're going to look for people who exhibit typically fine art of that sort, landscape art, realism. If you are a person who's very figurative, who does character art or who does very weird pop art, you're going to search out the more urban galleries that exhibit that type of stuff. Now, expos. We just talked about expos and the horrible experience that I had in that. They can be worth it, but I would never recommend you try out for those unless you have the money to invest, the time to do the research. I would actually go about going to those to do research as an attendee. So don't exhibit at those, but go visit a few before you ever consider, because they could be a great opportunity if you're becoming a bigger brand and you're looking to expand into licensing. There's Surtex, that's a really huge deal. There's a licensing expo in Las Vegas, and the Art Expo has expanded a bit, though I thought they smalled down. I guess they still have the New York one. And they're changing things up a little bit to try to adapt with and be more relevant, because this is the problem that artists have seen with the expo. So that could be an opportunity, but I don't recommend it. Then, of course, there's the type of shows that you'll typically do. So not every art show is solo, and I highly recommend not doing more than 1 or 2 a year when you're starting out. Those things are exhausting. You have to do 20 plus pieces for a solo show. And those aren't usually what a lot of artists do. A lot of artists actually just participate specifically in group shows. It's really great to be aligned with other artists that you really admire or are inspired by. When you do a group show, you could do group shows to get more exposure in different areas. You know, for example, you can participate in group shows that are not local. So like, for example, I do a lot of art shows in California and Florida, but I live in Michigan, right? So there's a lot of opportunity out there to get your foot in the door, to exhibit your work if you do group shows. And then there's the last one, charity events. There's probably other types of different events that galleries do, obviously, but there's a common theme. And I'm sure a lot of you have been approached by some of these places where they do a charity event where the art is exhibited to sell, with the profits going towards some sort of charity or nonprofit. These are common. You probably will want to get used. I mean, you'll want to participate in some of these in the future if you're interested, though I don't recommend doing it all the time, because it is expensive. You're not getting paid. Sometimes you might get a portion of the profits, and I would negotiate that so that you are at least covering the cost of your supplies while still being able to do something good for the world. But those are very common. Ooh, talking so fast makes my throat dry. So here's the pros and cons of exhibiting your art. Okay, so obviously there are many pros to it, but these are the main ones that are typical to think about in considering exhibiting. So there's a potential to make really good income. So perhaps you are an artist that is only going to create art for the fine art market. You're not going to sell online. You're not going to be selling prints on your own. You're going to pursue strictly the gallery network, right? So this could be your main income. It could also be a great side income, the frosting and the cake, so to speak. So what's great is sometimes you'll sell a lot. Sometimes you'll sell a little, but you'll make pretty good money. A lot of galleries will expect somewhere between 30 to 50% of your sales. And the reason for that is they are advertising the event for you. They're negotiating terms with a potential collector so that they can sell your work. If they get a portion of the profit, it's their incentive to help push your work. So it's really important to consider the galleries you're going to work with, because you want to be aware of what that percentage is they're going to take. Sometimes these galleries really try to ream you, and I would not recommend working with them, but that's just going to be something you have to expect and consider. You know, how big is this gallery? How much marketing are they doing? What's their potential audience? What are the typical turnout rates for the people that show up or buy, etc.? You have to consider all those things. Ask them questions before you participate, if you're invited or if you have been accepted into an upcoming show. A good pro about this, obviously, is the exposure on a local and national level. It's really cool if you're able to actually physically attend so that you can connect with your potential collectors one-on-one. It's a really great opportunity versus doing something where you're not going to be there in person. Also, networking opportunities. When you do these physical art shows, you have the possibility of being invited to future shows, being invited to do a solo show, or you might collaborate with someone who's attended the show and has an idea to work with you. That always is a possibility, and that's really great. Of course, obviously connecting with your community on a local and national level is really important. You can't depend completely on the web if, you want to be sustaining your career and doing something serious with it. You really want to focus on the traditional. I highly recommend. I need to take a breath here. Without trying to rant too much, because there's a lot of gurus out there that are telling you don't need the brick and mortar galleries, you don't need the middleman. And yes, sure, you can do it. I did for, let's see, I did strictly online direct sales for 10 years, but I don't recommend you continue doing that for the entirety of your career. It's not healthy. It's not healthy. If you want to retire this way, if you want to be an artist your whole life, you've got to consider getting more involved in things on the traditional level, on an in-person level. So with that said, what are the cons? So obviously you can see here, it is time consuming. I'm going to tell you right now, people typically work weeks and months in advance for an art show, whether they're doing a group show where they're only doing 1 or 2 pieces, to when they do a solo show, when it's 20 plus paintings or 20 plus sculptures, whatever it is that you do. It is time consuming. Putting together the hardware to hang it up on the wall, the information to go with each artwork, how you're going to ship it, how are you going to pack it, when it comes back to you or not, how that's being handled, when you get paid. It's a lot of work. It's a job in itself. So you have to consider those things. Also, it is expensive because you're putting your money towards supplies before knowing for sure if it's even going to sell. So that can be a lot of money in canvas and hardware and shipping. It can be pretty expensive at the end of the day. And you really got to hope that you're going to at least return enough to cover your expenses and supplies. And of course, some shows are not going to be successful. Some shows you never hear from again. A great example is I did a Tim Burton exhibit in Florida last year, or maybe it was 2 years ago now, where I never got the painting back, and I never got word of whether it sold or not. So it's in purgatory right now. It's in the middle of nowhere. I don't know where it is. And you know what? I've been so busy, I haven't even bothered contacting them. But the fact that the gallery didn't make the effort to contact me or all the artists who participated is very disappointing. It's so unprofessional. So really be careful of how you handle your shows and making sure you're keeping in contact with the people that you work with, because it's important to take seriously not only your career, but the work that you put in, the originals that you have created. Those are your babies, and it's really important to consider that. Also, there's social and political issues that you're going to find when doing these art shows. Now, a great example is the LA art scene. There are a lot of really great galleries out there that exhibit a lot of different local artists and creatives and people from around the country. But what's unfortunate is a lot of them are very political. A lot of them are, I don't think that's the right word. I'm thinking more like they're kind of cliquey. That's the word I'm looking for. They're very, very cliquey, where they only show specific artists and they will never open the door for anyone on the outside. You either have to know someone or be a friend of someone they are a friend of, or you never get in. And that's kind of sucky about it, because it's a lot like the New York art scene. A lot of people cannot get in the crowd, the in crowd, and that's just not how art is supposed to be. That's just unfortunate. So what's the difference between brick and mortar versus online? So obviously what's cool about doing online shows, and they do exist, there's art group shows and exhibits and that kind of thing. They're very easy to scale, which means you don't have to invest a whole lot. Your art is still with you in person until it sells. All you're doing is posting the artwork online for someone to purchase, and the group itself is helping you promote it, so that's really cool. With brick and mortar, however, you have that ability to have the closer connection to people. You're meeting them one-on-one in person, and the potential to convert them into a buyer or fan is more likely than it will be online. But however, online's great because you don't have to travel. You have no travel expenses, no shipping expenses. Your expense list is going to be quite small for the online route. But of course, you have the potential for more direct market, more direct sales if you're doing in-person shows. But what's great about online is this is really great if you're an introvert. I was really bad, a really bad introvert when I began in my art career. I couldn't even order pizza. I talked about this in an interview recently. I have really bad social anxiety. So while it doesn't appear that way in video or in my presentations, it really takes a lot out of me. I get really drained in huge events, public events, even though I love meeting new people and I love meeting my fans, it does drain me. That's a natural trait of an introvert. And I get really nervous. I get stage fright. So that's just something that it can be dealt with and you can move past it. But what's great is because we have the web now, we can have the careers we want without having to get too close to people or expose ourselves and get really stressed out about public events. We could do it all online if we really felt like it. And that's what I love about having a career online is if you have other issues, you got disability, a physical disability, or you've been injured in life and you cannot physically attend a traditional art show, you have that opportunity online. There's so many great things about this for so many reasons. And I really love that. I love that about doing online things. And nowadays, the trust level between potential buyer and artist is so much stronger than it's ever been in the last 12 years that I've been doing this. You know, when I began doing art shows or selling art online, people were a lot more suspicious of you because they weren't sure about people online. Back then, you know, you had pseudonyms and avatars. You didn't use your actual photograph of yourself or your real name. And nowadays, that's the norm. Transparency, being real, being ourselves with others on social media. It's really, really helped business in general. So what's cool though about brick and mortar is that you do get invited more often to do art shows in the future when you are attending these events and you are in person. Online is a lot different as that in that there's still that distance really. Typically online events are more group related and not solo shows and that kind of thing. So there's a lot of things to try to, you know, brainstorm on and decide whether one or the other works best or you want to do a combination of. You don't have to do one or the other. So with that said, how do you get into an art show? This is the basics, okay? And we're going to delve into this a little bit. Let me get a drink of water. So obviously, number one, whether you have an art show plan that you're going into or you want to get into art shows, I hope that you've already built a pretty decent collection of work that you can either present to a potential gallery as examples of what you can do, what your kind of look is, or to build an archive of work that is already completed and ready to go to be exhibited somewhere for a show. And I would recommend doing at least 10 to 20 pieces when you start out. Get really great photographs or scans of each one and put them on your website, put them on your social networks, build a little gallery or portfolio online so that you can easily share them with the galleries. Now, obviously, like I just said, share your portfolio with local and online galleries. You'll do this in email. You'll do this in social media when you're talking to them online. This really helps get attention, eyeballs on that art. What's great is we don't have to deal with slides anymore. I don't know if if some of the people watching here are like, what the hell is slides? What are those? Slides are like little photograph films that we used to have to transfer scans of art onto to send to galleries. We're not doing anything weird like that anymore. Most galleries do not expect you to mail a physical portfolio. Everything is online, so it's great opportunity and very easy to set this up to show galleries your work. And of course, this is a very simple thing to do, and you got to get used to Googling, guys. Seek out those call for artists. Look them up on Facebook. Look them up on Pinterest. Look for open submission opportunities. There are a lot of art show or art community based websites that will list current call for artists, and you can typically find them as well through social media. And that's a great way to find new opportunities. Also, research similar artists who do work like yours to get an idea of the kind of galleries they've worked with. Maybe you can check out those galleries, see if they're a good fit for you. Look for galleries, guys, that are good fit. Don't try to submit to every gallery under the sun. That is a waste of time. It's a waste of their time, and it's irrelevant to the work that you do. So you're not going to submit your pop art to a gallery that shows landscape art. Get what I'm saying? You're going to get the idea. It's very intuitive. Just look at the collections of work and past exhibitions that these shows have done, and you'll know who to talk to. And then, of course, create a personal and friendly inquiry with links to your web presence. So when you contact a gallery, you want to be very personal. You don't want to give them a cookie cutter email that says, hey, my name is Natasha. I have some art I think your gallery should show. Here it is. That's so impersonal. They're typically going to throw that in the trash, delete. And that's not the way to go about it. I would find out who the curator's name is, who the gallery owner's name is. Refer to something like a current art show going on or a past art show that you loved. Of course, like really look at it, really look at the art shows, and see what you think and give them your opinion, good or bad. And then ask them, very cool and very naturally, hey, I think my art might be a good fit for your gallery. It is this specific style. I paint these specific pieces. I've been in these specific shows or not. You can just refer to something that you've done and say that you've attached, you've added links to your resume and a portfolio they can check out, but you've attached a few images of your work. That really goes a long way. You're being personal, you're relating them to something that they've done recently, and you've given them a pretty thorough and thoughtful explanation of why your art would be a good fit for their gallery. And then lastly, you want to follow up. Usually you'll typically follow up with a gallery within a few weeks. It takes some time, especially if they're very popular, to get to your email, and just show them that you're very serious, that you didn't just spam them with an email and hoping that they're going to reply. You're really taking the effort to show them that you're interested in doing the show and you're going to be serious about it. Okay, so get out of there. My arrow is not disappearing. So this is what you're going to do with your contact and follow-up strategy, okay? So like I said, always be sure to follow up. And whether you are contacting, sorry, I'm getting tongue twisted because my mouth is getting so dry. Hold on. Okay, guys, sorry about that. So this is going to be your contact and follow-up strategy for contacting galleries. So number one, always be sure to follow your message with the ways to contact you. At the end of your message, you're going to say, to get a hold of me, I'll be here this week, or I'll be here Monday from 1 to 3 p.m. to talk if you would like to speak about the potential of working with you. Make it very immediate and urgent. Include times you're available. Include your phone number. Including your phone number makes it really serious because they believe you're a real person. You're very serious about potentially working with them, and they like that. Also include your emails or any social media that you can get contacted through. Okay, and then also include at least 2 to 3 small resolution files of your work in JPEG or whatever it is that you like. Maybe you do a PDF with the images on one thing, or link to your portfolio online. Always make sure you're including ways to find your work and make it very easy for them, because they aren't just going to know who you are by seeing your name on an email. They aren't going to know, oh yeah, I know her website address, I'm going to go right there. That's just not how it works. So be thorough as if they are totally idiots, okay? Be very specific, be very direct, give them the information that they need to find you, okay? With them via their social as well. Don't just contact them through the email. Show you're serious. So after you've emailed them, try to follow up by finding out where their Instagram or their Facebook page is. Maybe they have a Pinterest page. Maybe they have a YouTube channel. Whatever that is, follow them. Subscribe. They're going to see that pop up in their notifications. Some of these people sometimes don't have a huge following, so that they will really notice when someone is following them, and they'll check out the name and they'll go, oh, shoot, man, I just saw that girl's name in my email box today. I'm going to look at their work. And they might just impulsively go scrounge through your account and look at your art. So be prepared for that with some really great work. Have your portfolio online, like I said, everywhere, okay? I hope that your Facebook is ready. And of course, like I said, follow up with them in another email. Try to wait a couple weeks. I usually say about 2 to 3 weeks to do the first follow-up and let them know, hey, I'm wondering, did you get my last email about this? I'd be happy to talk to you or speak with you via phone this week. My number is this. Or we could discuss however you want, Skype, whatever, and let them know again that you would love to be a part of any future upcoming shows. Another key thing to try to do is let them know you're willing to do group shows. You're not looking for a solo show. You're not looking for any special treatment, because group shows are going to be your in. They're going to be the way that you get the opportunity to start exhibiting, and in the future get these solo shows. They got to get to know you guys. It's like making a friend with these galleries. So very important. And of course, don't be pushy. Don't demand anything. It's so disgusting. No matter who you're contacting, do not expect that they are going to love your work, that they're going to think it's great. And I want you guys to get this in your head right now, okay? No is not now. No is not no. It is not now. I've actually had galleries where I was doing a different kind of work years before, and I contacted them and they weren't interested. They were polite enough to reply and let me know, which was great. And I made sure to thank them. Note that, guys. I made sure to thank them for replying and let them know that I appreciated them so much for getting back to me, and that I really took it to heart what they said, and am going to improve my work and maybe contact them in the future. And in the next few years, I contacted them again. I had different work. I had a much better portfolio, and I did a few shows with them, and I continue to do shows with them. So that's what's awesome, is of being an artist, we're always improving. Our portfolio is always going to be changing. We're not going to have the same art every day, every week, every year. You're always going to evolve. And so that's what's cool, is if you contact a gallery right now and it's just not a right fit, or they're not really entirely impressed, let's get real. They're not impressed with your work right now, or maybe they're just so busy, because these places tend to be swamped. They're so busy and have been set up with shows for the next 2 years. They can't fit you in anywhere. There's just no way. I actually have a show that I have been waiting for 2 years that's finally coming up now. So that's just how it is in the art world. Don't freak out. Just keep them in mind. Note the date and time when you contacted them before for the first time, and then follow up with them in the future when you think you are ready to exhibit with them and that they would be open. And just keep doing that, guys. Make friends with these people, get to know them, connect with them online through social media or email. But, and really consider attending the shows. That's another huge plus. Offer them the opportunity to meet you in person. If you have the ability to attend some of these shows, and if you're really serious, sometimes you might go to these shows that are across the country. You might fly to them. Maybe you're lucky enough that they're local for you. Whew. Sorry.